What's going on, guys? So, in today's video, I want to talk about 3 tips to get a more professional sound. So, I'm in no way saying that I'm a professional or like anything like that. These are just 3 tips that I've learned over the years from like a bunch of people that have helped me get like a more clean sound. So, in today's video, we're going to be working with one of my unreleased songs. It's called Stay With Me. Here we go. We'll have a listen. All right. So, let's get right into it with tip number 1. So, tip number 1 would be to mix in mono. Mixing in mono is like very, very, very helpful because it allows you to hear everything in the middle at like more or less the same, like its original volume. So what I mean by that is that if I were to put this in mono, it'd sound like this. So if we go into it, so like in my opinion, the leads can be like a little bit louder. So we can boost those a bit. But like doing this in mono, it allows you to go really in depth, like with your EQs. Like, say if this needs high end in mono, it most likely needs high end in stereo. So, one golden thing to remember is that if it sounds good in mono, it will sound good in stereo. And like most systems that you hear are not like a studio like what I have here. It's more like car stereo, this, that, and a lot of that is projected in mono. So if you can mix it in mono and it sounds really good in mono, then it will sound good in stereo. So moving on to tip number 2 is to establish like a really good relationship between your kick and your bass. So let's have a listen. Let's just solo the kicks. Still in mono. So let's go. I also have an acoustic top layer of the kick, which I don't know, my opinion for this song in particular gives it like a nice sound. So the tip that I have is using a VU meter. When you use a VU meter, it gives like the average volume. So I just use this plugin. If we were to listen to just the kick, the rule that I was taught was to have it hit -3. So it's around -3. It's boosting because I'm talking, but it's around -3. It's a little bit above because I wanted the kick to just have a little bit more punch in the top end. So it's boost. It's like it's around 3. And when we add in the sub, it should come out to around 0. See, comes out around 0. This allows for like a good foundation to have like a really good relationship between your kick and your bass. And this works for all genres of music, not just electronic. If you have a hip hop song with you, if you have like a good sub under that, use this rule and you'll have like a clean sounding mix between your kick and bass. And everybody knows in a song, if your kick and bass don't punch, then people just don't vibe with it. So there's also a secondary tip, but that will be moving on into tip number 3, which would be EQing. So going back into the sub, the EQ I have on the sub cuts off at 200. It's a sharp cut, 96 decibels, but it's very sharp at 200, which because I use like Kicktight in Ableton allows you to add frequencies at a certain harmonic, which makes the sub sound have more presence. say if I were to take it here, let's listen to it. That's without kick tight. And then you put kick tight on. It just adds a little bit more like presence to the sound. But what it also does is adds a lot of higher frequencies, as you can see in the EQ. All of this. So with the EQ, you cut that out, but like without it, it would sound like this. It's just like a really nasty sound. And the reason why you'd cut that out is because even though you won't be able to hear it in your mix, it just keeps stacking up with everything that you add that you don't EQ like this. Will like stack up, stack up, stack up. Eventually you'll hear it, and eventually it just makes your mix sound cluttered in certain parts. A lot of like newer producers, including myself, when I started out, like I struggled with this. I didn't know how I can get it cleaner, but then I started like using more EQ tips, and it honestly really helps you. Another tip that I have for EQ would be to cut off everything that's not kick and sub at around 100 hertz. So if we were going to my drums, this hi-hat, that's this hi-hat sounds like this. And if we look at the EQ, there's some stuff that's going on right here. Taking this out is essential because even though like you can, okay, sometimes you can hear, sometimes that could be like mic noise, like really low mic noise. So obviously you'd want to cut that out. But sometimes you can't even hear that. And like you're probably thinking, oh, if you can't hear it, what's the point of EQing it? When you're going on to your master, all of that stuff will be pushed into your limiter. So when that's pushed into your limiter, like it doesn't allow you to get your song as like loud as you want it to. So if you have a bunch of hi-hats and claps that all are flooding up this low end, when you go to push through the limiter and like compress and do all that stuff, the low end will be compressed, will be like activating the limiter and compressor, which just, you know, like it doesn't allow you to get a super clean sound like all these professionals do. Here, we'll look at the clap. So it's already cut up. We'll solo it. See, there's nothing going on there, but you know, just might as well just do that up. Let's see the other one. See, there's nothing on this one. So if we solo all like the drums. Yeah, and by the way, this song is unfinished still. I'm still adding some more stuff. Gotta add some percussion. Yeah, but it's, in my opinion, it's shaping up pretty nicely. So going back to this clap. See, again, it had some like bass frequencies that we don't want. So just use the hard cut and cut it out. And the good thing about FabFilter is that you can also set up like a default setting like this. You can also do it with Ableton's regular EQ. So if you go like this and you set it up like that. Oh, made that mistake. There we go. So if you use Ableton's EQ, and so it will come like basically like this. It'll come something like that, you know, just basic like this. If you want to set it up so that it always cuts at 100 hertz, you put it at a ×4 high pass. You move this to 100 hertz. Move the Q up a bit. And then you right click and save as default preset. So that every time you'd open up EQ8, boom, it's already cut off. So this really helps workflow because honestly, in my opinion, workflow allows you to complete songs faster. And like, what do you want to do? You want to complete songs faster. One of the hardest things about being a producer is completing songs. It's just there's so much to like that you can do that you just get lost with it. So having that good workflow like this, my template, every time I open up, except these ambience things, I just added these in for the song. But if you ignore these three or these four, like up to sidechain and up, then like that's every time I open up a new track, like a new audio, sorry, a new project file, this is what happens. So right away I can add my drums, I can add my breakdown drums, I can add my breakdown synths. Everything will be here right away, right in the spot that I want it to. So I really hope you guys like learn something new from this tutorial. So like, share, subscribe if you guys want. I'm gonna try to make a new video every Sunday, release one every Sunday. Maybe a few in the week. But yeah, so thank you so much. I appreciate you guys for your time. And yeah, stay cool.